Teens want to talk to the trusted adults in their lives about the issues they are facing, even if these issues are difficult or awkward. I realized this several years ago when I was teaching the 15-year-old Sunday school class. I had a great group of kids who were very respectful, and they participated when I asked questions. The problem I had was trying to get them to be excited and engaged about the lesson. There was one lesson that I taught that they were very engaged in and very excited to have a discussion on. And ironically, this was the lesson on the law of chastity. It started out, as most of these lessons do, with the kids all staring at the floor and awkwardly shuffling their feet. I told them about the law of chastity, what it is, and why they need to live it. So basically, I was giving them a lecture. Then I changed the mode of the lesson to be a conversation. They know what they're not supposed to do, but the question that they have is what is okay and where is that line and what is appropriate. So as we began to discuss this, they opened up and it was a great discussion. They had such a great discussion, they didn't even want to leave the class when it was time to go. And so the youth want to talk to their parents and their church leaders about the issues they face. And there are many issues that they face today that are confusing, difficult, and challenging. One of these issues is, what is the big deal about pornography? The big deal about pornography is the damaging effects of pornography. Pornography damages the brain, the family, and society. Pornography damages the brain because it's very much like a drug. And this has the same chemical reactions in the brain as when using meth and cocaine. Excessive amounts of dopamine are released when viewing pornography. The difference between doing hard drugs and viewing pornography is that the reaction in the brain is much more powerful than when doing hard drugs. It's like a chemical bomb goes off in the brain. In the brains of teens, studies have shown that their reward pathways are much more powerful and that they react 2 to 4 times greater than those in the adult's brain. And so this means that their brains are being flooded with even more dopamine. And just like with cocaine and meth, pornography is addicting. And how this works is that when dopamine is released in the brain, it tries to regulate that back to a normal level. And with these excessive levels, it's just not a healthy thing. And so the brain will shrink the dopamine receptors. And as these receptors have been shrunk, then less dopamine is getting into the brain. And so the individual has to have more and more dopamine to feel normal. And they will begin to crave pornography more and more. Elder Dallin H. Oaks said, "It impairs decision capacity and it hooks its user, drawing them back obsessively for more and more." A man who had been addicted to pornography and to hard drugs wrote me this comparison. "In my eyes, cocaine doesn't hold a candle to this. I have done both. Quitting even the hardest drug was nothing compared to trying to quit pornography." And pornography changes the brain. As the individual is viewing pornography, it rewires those neural pathways, making new connections. As I said, in fightthenewdrug.org, neurons that fire together wire together. They've also shown in studies that the frontal lobes of the brain shrink in those who are addicted, even those who are addicted to pornography. Pornography is damaging to the family. Individuals who are viewing pornography have a difficult time forming meaningful relationships with real people. M.A. Layden said in a paper on pornography and violence in a journal on the social problems of pornography, "Healthy relationships are built on equality, honesty, respect, and love. But in porn, it is the reverse. Interactions are based on domination, disrespect, abuse, violence, and detachment. Viewing pornography results in a loss of the spirit." Elder Dallin H. Oaks said, "When we worthily partake of the sacrament, we are promised that we will always have His Spirit to be with us. To qualify for that promise, we covenant that we will always remember Him. Those who seek out and use pornography for sexual stimulation obviously violate that covenant. They also violate a sacred covenant to refrain from unholy and impure practices. They cannot have the Spirit to be with them. I have personally seen the damaging effects on families of pornography. My sister married a really sharp returned missionary in the temple. They had 4 beautiful daughters, and he was a great dad. He was very involved with his children, and he spent a lot of time with them and played with them. And with him, everything was awesome. and everything was a venture. And they even going to the grocery store was a big adventure. But then he started viewing pornography, and he kept going into harder and harder pornography and spending more and more time viewing pornography. And it changed his personality. He became very abusive to my sister. And after several years of this, she finally left him because the abuse got so bad, and she divorced him. When she left her husband, her two oldest daughters told her that their dad had been sexually abusing them and that he had threatened to kill their mother if they told. It's been 12 years since she divorced her husband, and the girls have not had any contact with him since then. They're all grown now, but they still have emotional and health issues from the abuse that they suffered in the home because of their father's pornography addiction. Viewing pornography is damaging to society. When you view pornography, it objectifies women, and it also promotes violence towards women. And so this creates a different attitude in men. And then women, as they view these sites and see these kind of interactions with abuse and violence, they begin to believe that this is normal in relationships. Two of the side effects in individuals from viewing pornography are a lower material success and a change in beliefs. And both of these have a negative impact on society. So now that you know the damaging effects of pornography, the damage it causes to the brain, to the family, and to society, it's time for you to get educated and get involved and talk to your children. 80% of first-time exposures occur in the home between the ages of 4 and 11. Pornography thrives in the allure of secrecy. It loses its allure when it is talked about openly. Two great resources for overcoming pornography and for talking to your children about pornography are websites of the church, overcomingpornography.org, and the church manual, A Parent's Guide. Another great website is fightthenewdrug.org. They have many articles on the damaging effects of pornography, and if you click on the references at the end of these articles, you can find even more articles, journals, and websites to find out even more information. Get help if you are addicted to pornography. You can't overcome it alone. The only way pornography can be overcome is through the repentance process and through the atonement. How many days does it take to overcome an addiction? It takes 2 years. Now that you have been educated and know about the damaging effects of pornography, you need to warn others about these damaging effects.